We always talk about the fact that your voice is what makes you authentic. So yes, absolutely leverage the power of AI for so many different, for writing, for research, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to publishing content that AI has helped you with, make sure you work with it to put it into your own voice so that it sounds like you.
Welcome to the Making Sales Social podcast, featuring the top voices in sales, marketing, and business. Join Brynne Tillman, Stan Robinson Jr., and me, Bob Woods, as we each bring you the best tips and strategies our guests are teaching their clients so you can leverage them for your own virtual and social selling. Enjoy the show. Welcome, everyone. It's time for Making Sales Social Live, coming to you from the Social Sales Link virtual studios, and is brought to you by AskSSL.ai. I'm Bob Woods, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Brynne Tillman and Stan Robinson Jr. How y'all doing today?
Great. How are you?
Real good.
I am finally starting to feel better. You know, you get into the doctor, you spend a couple of hours in urgent care, and they finally give you antibiotics, and you start feeling better. So,
well, good. I'm glad to hear it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So so that's good. So speaking of colds, and wow, this is that's a really tenuous way to get in
some transition
to our topic today. But turning a cold prospect, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you get it? A cold prospect into a warm connection is something that as salespeople, we ideally want to do. But how? You need to go through 3 stages to build an authentic and genuine foundation that interests them, meaning your prospects, in your offerings and how you can assist them. So before we get into those stages, any general thoughts on turning cold prospects into warm connections?
So the first thing I think I would say on this topic, that's the word, topic.
Topic.
Yeah, my brain. So the first thing I'd say on this topic around turning a cold connection into a warm connection, I think is about treating them like a human being, not like a lead, right? We want to make sure that we approach connections on LinkedIn as we would if they were in a room. So often we'll say, treat them. My words are not coming out of my mouth the way they normally do. So tongue-tied today. So rewind. Treat the person on the other side of the message the same way you would if they were on the other side of the table.
Sounds good to me. So we actually have 3 stages to get into this, and then there are tips within those stages. So the first stage is exactly what Brynne was talking about, and that's changing your mindset, which is really, really important. And while Brynne kind of did the 30,000 foot view of things there, let's get straight into the tips. So tip number 1 is earning the right to get a conversation. And, you know, we talk about that a lot, but I think it's really important because you have to change the mindset. And if you already think you have the right to a conversation before you even get started, then you've obviously just lost. And so many people think that they already have the right to a conversation before they actually get into the conversation. It's incredible. We see it all the time here when people are pitching us with their stuff. And so it's all about shifting your perspective from the potential value the prospect holds for you, which when you're starting the conversation, let's face it, is nil, to the value you can provide to the prospect. That's the approach that sets the stage for meaningful interactions, guys.
Yeah, Stan, you want to talk to that and I'll go last.
Just that it takes some time to demonstrate your value to a prospect, and we'll talk a little bit more. I won't spill the beans just now in terms of what we say, but it takes time. So you have to exercise some patience And as Brynne mentioned, rather than thinking of them as a prospect, thinking of them as a person with a life just like you, with ambitions just like you. And picture yourself talking to them just like you would talk to them in a room together.
Yeah.
Brynne?
That's great. And I'll take the baton. I feel like we should have a baton. Yeah. So earn the right to get a conversation really comes down to mastering the ask-offer ratio. Well, it comes down to two things. So there's the mastering the ask-offer ratio, which I'll talk about in a moment. And there's coming in through a warm market. So the best way to warm up a cold connection, earning the right, is through a referral, which I'm probably skipping ahead because I always do. So I'll table that. The second way to earn the right to get that conversation is providing so much value that the connection can't wait to get more value from you. And that's huge, right? So mastering the ask-offer ratio is simply this. I am asking you to invest your time to consume my content. At the end of that invested time, there are 3 possible outcomes. 1, that was a bait and switch. It was a pitch. I thought it was going to be a value, but it's not. It's them only wanting to sell me. And that is not the way to start any relationship, let alone converting it. Like, you went from cold to frigid, right? Like, you're going the opposite way. You're turning them off to having any kind of engagement with you. The next one is neutral. And while this doesn't hurt you, it doesn't warm them up in a way that gets them interested in having a conversation. The third is compelling. And this is where we want to land. Compelling is simply this. We move them from spectator to engager, right? We move them, my tradition. I have to say it. It just comes out from lurker to engager, but I like spectator to engager. We're playing with it. Guys, tell us if you're live, tell us in comments which one resonates better with you, or reach out to us if you're listening to this in the podcast and listen out. Spectator to engager or lurker to engager. Love to hear that. Okay. So when we master the ask-offer ratio, we move them from just hanging out and reading to actually liking, commenting, visiting our profile, asking us to connect, accepting our connection request. And when we do that, we're earning the right to get to the next step. And we know who they are. And I probably took way too much time on one tip.
I think I love cold to frigid. So I was thinking about a car analogy. You know, if you do a bait and switch, it's like putting your car in reverse when you don't want to.
I love it.
And then, Brynne, you mentioned neutral. It doesn't provide any value. It doesn't hurt you, but you're not going anywhere. And then put it in drive, which means you're offering value that's value to them. It's not value in terms of your product features, because a lot of sales reps, we tend to think in terms of features. That's value. No, value is what is in the eyes of the prospect, the decision maker. Yeah. So
I love that. I really, really love that. I see a blog post coming from you, Stan, on how healthy social selling is like driving a car. All right. I promise I won't take this much time on everything else.
Well, good luck with number 2, because this is another one of your favorites. It's actually one of all of our favorites, and we all could expound just mercilessly on this one. So, again, changing your mindset, slow it down to speed things up. So many of us are in a rush to make a sale. We inadvertently push prospects away by, to use Stan's analogy, by gunning the gas too much, or, too quickly. You spin wheels more than anything else when that happens. Embrace the idea that slowing down your outreach can actually speed up your desired outcome, which if you've listened to us before, you've heard that phrase before. So when you take time to nurture connections, you create a space for genuine rapport to develop. And I do think that that's a really good place to bring in Stan's analogy and do it further, because if you're just mashing down on the accelerator, I mean, you may get going eventually, but what happens initially, your tires just end up spinning and you don't gain traction at all.
Or you miss your destination completely.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to have fun with this, Stan.
Oh, yeah. Stan, you started something.
So let's each of us take one of them because we have so many. So that was yours, Bob. Assign your number 3.
Okay. Am I going to intro them and then just toss to
Yeah. Well, and then just assign it to one of us.
All right. Stan, Brynne, this one's yours. Tip number 3, detach from the sale.
Oh, that's mine.
Okay. Yeah, that's your. That's yours. Go ahead.
All right. So it is so important that if you really want to convert cold connections to conversations, you can't be in pitch mode or sales mode. So you have to detach from what the prospect is worth to you and attach to what you are worth to the prospect. And to Stan's point, it's in the eye of the prospect. They're the ones that determine whether this is valuable or not. So absolutely, hands down, when you are converting connections into conversations, it can't be connections into prospects, right? It's got to be connections into meaningful conversations. Okay, we'll go next.
All right. Tip number 4. This one's going to go to Stan. Leveraging AI and your voice. So this isn't just about AI. You have to bring your voice in, Stan.
Yep. AI has become the easy button for too many of us. And we always talk about the fact that your voice is what makes you authentic. So yes, absolutely leverage the power of AI for so many different, for writing, for research, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to publishing content that AI has helped you with, make sure you work with it to put it into your own voice so that it sounds like you. So do not copy and paste what comes out of any AI tool. You have to put it in your voice. Now, we do have a tool that helps you do that.
We
have a framework.
And
an entire framework.
Yeah, we have both of those. And as like I say before, and I keep bringing this up to people, even to other, AI experts and people who know a lot about AI, and even with the tools and the frameworks that we have, the ultimate kind of final check before you put anything out there in terms of content, in terms of messaging, in terms of whatever. Read what you are going to put in there out loud. Because if it doesn't sound like you, and if it sounds like a robot or it sounds like a computer, then guess what? In the mind of the person reading it, you are the robot, you are the computer, you are AI. And believe me, people are picking up on that. And like Stan said, so many people are viewing AI as their easy button. It's almost a too easy button, if that's a thing. And I guess it's the thing now because I just said it. So, go ahead, Brynne.
Yeah, I'm just to close this out really quickly. Instead of asking AI to write it for you, ask AI to interview you. That's the key. The big difference is instead of saying, go write this, say, you are my interviewer who will be ghostwriting my content. And then our magic little phrase is ask me all the questions you need to complete this task one at a time. When you have that combination as you are the interviewer, AI interviewing me, and then ask me the questions, it becomes a lot, it'll sound a lot more like you right away. And by the way, okay, I have to put out a plug. Go to promptwritingmadeeasy.com. Today, it's a wait list for our new book that the three of us have written. It is now in formatting and almost ready to hit the Amazon and the bookstores. So promptwritingmadeeasy.com, and that will give you our whole framework and structure. Sorry, had to throw it out there.
I had to throw it out. Oh, and Tara French in comments, she says she likes spectator to engager, going back to earlier. So
I think we have to move to that because it really is more in our brand. It's just a word that doesn't come to mind fast enough. But thank you very much.
I agree. Which is why we need a mind shift, a mindset shift.
That is our mind shift.
We're talking about. Yes, exactly.
Right. I love it.
So, second stage, you have to find out where your prospects are hanging out. And in this case, obviously, we're talking about online, but there are ways to do that. So I'm going to take tip number 5 really quick, and y'all can comment if you want to on that. There are content creators out there that people follow, that your prospects follow. You have to find them, though. So you need to find the influencers and content creators who are resonating with your target audience. So what do you do from there? You engage with their content. You engage with their commenters as well. So not only are you putting up your own comments, reacting to what that influencer has posted in terms of their original post, you can comment with the people who are commenting as well to get those conversations started. So when you share those interests, and when you share those interests, especially with the people who are commenting, that is a really good way to create an immediate connection. You just have to make sure that everything that you're saying that you actually believe in, and you're not just saying something just to say something. This has to come from an authentic and genuine point of view within yourself, essentially. So don't just toss stuff out there just to toss stuff out there, because if you get a conversation started with someone and they say, well, why did you say X? And you don't want to say, well, I really didn't believe that. I just wanted to throw some gasoline out of the fire or whatever. In this case, you really can't do that. You really need to be authentic and genuine.
Awesome. I love that. All right. What's the next one?
Tip number 6, let's go to Brynne with this one, with revisiting your first degree connections. And Brynne is doing the happy dance.
Oh, these are all I love this stuff. This is ridiculous how happy this makes me. Okay. So here's the thing. And we're all doing this. We are ignoring first degree connections. You probably have hundreds, if not thousands of connections. Yet we're out there prospecting net new all the time. I know that we're talking about how do you turn a cold prospect into a conversation, but a lot of the people that you are connected to as a first degree connection are cold, right? We've been ignoring them. So export your connections or search. And even in the free, the search is amazing what you can do with your connections. Mm-hmm. Search your first degree connections that meet your ideal prospect criteria and really start to engage with them. And if I'm going ahead, I apologize, but we can engage them by inviting them to vote on the poll or asking them to comment on content that would share their expertise, or send them a little video message. Just say, hey, it's been a while since we last connected. And I'm just going to share a little tip that has absolutely changed the percentage of responses. If you go to their contact information on their profile, it will share at the bottom the date you connected with them. So if I say, hey, Bob, I'm not sure if you recall, but we connected back in 2013. I know we haven't talked in a while, but the reason I'm reaching out is because we just put out a poll specifically for people like you, and your one-click vote would mean a lot. If you're open, whatever, right? Like that's, and so we're engaging with them in what matters to them. And by the way, when you ask them to participate and share their perspective, that matters to them, right? So, but this is where I'm going to go back to slow down your outreach to speed up your outcome. It's going to take you 10 more seconds to find out the date that you connected with them. But all of a sudden, they know now that this was not a spam email message. This was not a an automated message, because I'm not sure if you remember, but we connected on this date is not something that's scalable. Mm-hmm. But it will personalize it, and that will help turn them from cold to warm.
Excellent. Excellent stuff. So next, let's go to Stan. And I think I'm going to let you two handle things from here on out, just because my voice is starting to go yet again. I'm still not at 100% yet. So tip 7, leveraging shared connections.
Yes, one of the beautiful things about LinkedIn is you can see who is connected to people that you are directly connected to. And you can also do some searches on filters like title and location and industry and so forth. So as Brynne mentioned earlier, the best way to start a relationship with someone is to be referred by someone else. And you can I can go to Bob Wood's profile and search for who Bob Woods is connected to. As one example, when I find people of interest, I can reach out to Bob and say, hey, Bob, I noticed that you know Brynne. I plan to talk to her in the next week or so. Can we hop on a quick call to see if you have any insights that you would like to share? And you can actually do that with several people. And so that's one of the most powerful aspects of LinkedIn is your second degree connections.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. And we have an anonymous user saying hi to all of us and hello back. But your settings are not allowing us to see who you are. So if you want to share.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, who you are, we'll give you a shout out. And I appreciate my friend Mahesh putting out a message here too, that he loves talk about the detach from what the prospect is worth to you perspective.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. So now let's go. So now we're into the third stage. Now we have these people interested in starting the conversation. So, we're going to talk about starting the conversation. Before we get to that, though, just keep in mind, this is not an opportunity to pitch. We are not immediately pitching once we get the conversation. So again, that's a mind shift for a lot of people. But as we go through the tips here, you'll understand why we're saying that it's not a pitch opportunity. Instead, Brynne, why don't you take this one? It's all about the question, answer, and insight tactic.
Yeah, so this is such a great way to engage, asking a question. But if you ask a question that feels like it's a pitch, you're going to lose, right? You're going to they're going to know immediately. But if you ask a question based on content they shared, or really love the post that you put out on X, Y, and Z, I'm not sure, do you follow this person? Because I have a similar topic, but I have a great a podcast they were on that you might enjoy. So the question is not a discovery question. It's a question that will lead back to something that's of value to them, right? So you ask the question, is this someone you follow? And they answer, oh, I don't. Oh, well, I have this podcast I mentioned. If you're interested, I'm happy to send you a link. And now I'm sharing insights or value without it being a pitch. So I think that's a really great way to turn a cold connection into a warmer conversation really quick. Because I have 6 minutes before my next call. So we're going to speed this up, or I'm going to leave and you'll close it out without me. But the question, answer, insights, if you like that influencer perspective, you can search your first degree connections that follow Mark Hunter, or your first degree connections that follow Victor Antonio. So then we can go grab content and say, hey, I noticed you follow this person. Recently listened to a podcast, which I did just listen to, an amazing podcast from Victor yesterday. But just listen to this podcast. If you're interested, I think you'll get a lot of value from it because of this reason. I'm happy to send this. And we're warming them up around someone they follow. So.
Excellent stuff. So let's get to tip 9 now, and Stan's going to bring that to us. Bring enough value to spark interest. So you're not just asking questions. You are not just you're doing more than that. You're bringing lots of value, so much value, Stan.
So Brynne alluded to one of the ways you can bring value, which is by sharing content that you think would be relevant to them. It could be a podcast, it could be a video, etc. But that implies that you know them well enough to know what will be of value to them. And that's one place, by the way, that using AI for research can help. You can dig into what would be of value to people in different roles. Introducing them to someone that they may like to meet. If you have an opportunity to do that, that is powerful. Now, not always possible, but just keep your antenna up for those types of opportunities. But the main thing is to give without asking. They know what you do. So when you're offering value to them, whenever they're ready for your solution, you're going to be the first one they call. They may not even think about contacting anyone else if you've offered enough value to them and built that relationship.
So we do this by offering our free library at socialsaleslink.com/library. We have lots of resources, lots of content, and we do this in our lives. Like, we're hoping we bring you enough value that you'll want to sign up to our free library. And then from the free library that you want to come to one of our coaching events. And and so all of this, even from our perspective, is we want to earn the right to get you closer and closer into our community in whatever way that looks like. And we try to do this by offering extreme value in everything that we do. Instead of, and I know I pitched the book in this, which I know it's a pitch. I didn't mean to do that, except I'm so excited about it. But ultimately, hopefully we've earned the right for you to care about the book.
Exactly. So now, everybody, go out, adjust your mindset, and use these strategies that will help you achieve your goal of turning those cold prospects, into warm connections with relationships that are built on value, trust, and mutual benefit. And thanks for joining us for this episode of Making Sales Social Live, sponsored by AskSSL.ai. If you're with us live on LinkedIn or YouTube right now, we do these every week, so keep an eye out for our live sessions. If you're listening to us on our podcast, go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button to access all of our previous shows and be alerted when new ones drop. And, if you want to drop a like or a comment, we won't object to that either. So we do 2 shows weekly, this one and our Making Sales Social interview series, where we talk with leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many more related areas. If you'd like more info on our podcast, socialsaleslink.com/podcast. That's where you want to go. socialsaleslink.com/podcast. So when you're out and about this week and every week, be sure to make your sales
social.
We're getting really good at that. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye. Don't miss an episode. Visit socialsaleslink.com/podcast. Leave a review down below. Tell us what you think, what you learned, and what you want to hear from us next. Register for free resources at linkedinlibrary.com. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. Visit our website, socialsaleslink.com, for more information.